currently the sheriff's office spokesperson and the communications director. I think the last time I was here was when Sheriff Spangler ran for re-election in 2022. It was quite an interesting group that night, so tonight's a little more calm. I was born and raised here in Knox County, grew up in a town called Mascot. Currently live in Strawberry Plains. We raise our children in halls. I'm married firefighter, paramedic, so public safety is near and dear to my heart. We have grandchildren in Halls, Torrington, and Farragut. So we have all parts of the county covered, so I care about all of Knox County. I think I'll jump right to part of what you were asking. That is a question I get asked all across the county, is are you for or against a tax increase? And what I can tell you is that for the first year, if I'm elected, and that's a big if, I have 2 Republican people on the ballot, and after that I'll face a Democrat and an independent. So what I know is that we're going to have a lot of time to do some due diligence. And like many of you who were born and raised here, and those of you that have been here a short time, you know that our roads are terrible. You know that our infrastructure is taxed. You know that we have an astronomical amount of growth. But what I know is that for the first year, we're going to be working off of this commission's budget and this mayor's budget. And you're about to elect for the first time in a long time, not just one at-large seat without an incumbent, because Ms. Frazier is also running for mayor. You're going to elect 2 at-large seats. And then you have your district commissioners, and you have several of those seats up for election. We're going to elect a new mayor and a new sheriff, and a slew of other offices that are going to be vacated, and some brand new folks. So we're going to be working off of someone else's budget for a year. That gives us a year to do our due diligence. My background is in real estate. I've been working with commissioners and with the mayor and the other elected officials, and all of you, to hear what you need, what your wants are, what you think is a priority for us. And I think all of us in this room would agree that public safety, our safety, your children's safety, your grandchildren's safety is number one. And what I've seen from our current state, at the sheriff's office alone, is that we've lost a lot of good men and women who make incredible officers and detectives, and they've gone other places to work. And why have they done that? Because the pay is better. We run the largest, at the sheriff's office, we run the largest mental health facility in East Tennessee. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this area, when Lakeshore closed, then that got taxed on all of us. That got taxed on the sheriff's office. There's a lot of things that go into where our money goes. And like Garrett was saying, a large portion of the county's budget is given to schools and the sheriff's office. Yet I have gone out and raised money through the private sector for things that the sheriff's office lacks, for things that aren't covered by the budget, for our men and women, and for certain units, such as the K-9 unit and different things like that. Those aren't items that we can afford as a county budget. But if you really look at how the county operates and where they spend their money, after you take out the schools, which is mandated by the state, there's not a lot we can do about that, and in the sheriff's office, in which I feel like the sheriff, whoever the sheriff is going to do the same thing. They operate on a bare bones budget. A large portion of their budget is for salaries and benefits. So if you look at what the county operates on, it's very minimal. And I've sold real estate for all these years, and here's the number one reason people want to come here. Because it's so cheap to live here. And they get things that they can't get anywhere else. We have one of the lowest tax bases around, and we still provide very good services. And that's because our people work really hard, and they take pride in the community. They take pride in their jobs and the services that we provide. So I can't answer your question yes or no, even though it's a yes or no question, because in good conscience, I don't know. I would have to look at and work with whatever that current commission looks like, as well as the mayor's office, whoever the new mayor is, as well as the sheriff. The sheriff has to be part of those conversations, because our growth as a county depends on their growth or lack of as a sheriff's office. And I don't think there's anybody in this room who is not concerned with their safety. You want to lay down at night, you want to feel secure in your home, you want your children to be secure when they go to school, whether they're homeschooled in private school or they're in public school. want good, when you call 911, you hope that a fire truck and an ambulance show up. All of those things take into account where we are as a county. And so I can't answer your question with a yes or no. And I would have been very displeased if Garrett had done that too, because I wouldn't know how he could come up with that answer. Because we are able to look at the same things right now without being elected officials. You know, we sit down with the finance director, we sit down with current commissioners, we sit down with the sheriff, and we sit down with members of the school board, and we talk to them, and we get the same answers from those people. But what I will tell you is that I'll show up, I'll work hard, and anybody in this room, if you've worked with me at the sheriff's office, raise your hand. Okay, they will tell you, I'll work hard, I'll show up for you, and I'm going to do what is necessary to take care of all of you. I want your input. I'm a communications director. I think the number one problem we have in South Knox County Sheriff's Office is communication.
Amen.
I think the number one problem we have as a county commission or any elected official in any office is communication. We don't get together and talk with one another. And you know what else I think's a problem? I always am willing to say what a lot of people don't want to say, but you touched on it. It's our party. Our party is divided.
Amen.
We are not unified. And you know what the Democrats do a lot better than we do? They get together and they figure out how to work together. You know what we can't stop doing? We can't stop taking shots at one another, stabbing each other in the back, and having confrontation with one another, online or otherwise, for us to accomplish anything. So I hope that I can be part of that change, that I can be part of the change of bringing us together, so that whether you've lived here for 5 years or you were born and raised here, that we can come together for a common goal.
Questions?
Absolutely.
Just want to thank you, and for those who don't know me, half the room does. My background started off in law enforcement, public administration degree, MBA, used to be over 16 counties here in economic development. If you ever had a package delivered to your door, some of my DNA's in it. I'm very pro law enforcement. This community has changed drastically. It has changed drastically by weak Republicans, and also letting lots of things go on over the past 25 years. This community is exactly where Memphis 1987 was right before it changed drastically. And so my questions are coming from a perspective of 40 years in the conservative parties here and everything. Just, I really want to know what the candidates are going to be doing, because my daughter is, we're going to have a house here. I live here part-time now, and a lot of good people are doing it as well. And we're right on the edge. And I will tell you this, all the vertical growth in the apartments going up is not helping. All the, and not having a forethought putting as a supply chain maker, transportation and infrastructure in first. So, thank you for all the, I look forward to talking, get to know all of you, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service also.
Steve, you have a question?
Yeah, I've been to a few of these things now, and everyone talks about the budget, and they talk about the expenses. It's always expenses, then the property tax is the only thing they talk, but there's other taxes that are there that we don't have to pay if we don't want to. And I used to run Shop Farragut, and we promoted our businesses. Farragut lives off sales tax. Now, I'd like to see a plan, an organized plan, to do what Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and Sevierville do. They are the #1 area. We have some tourism people that are working, but tourism isn't what it's all about. But getting people to shop and buy and use what we have here and pay that sales tax, you'll be like the state.
So 40% of our tourism budget, our hotel motel tax,
Oh, yeah,
goes back into tourism.
It has to,
Yes,
by
it has
law.
to, by law. But here's something ironic, when I sat down with Chris Concord that I found out. So, you know, we had finger annexation by a previous mayor, and so it was annexed into the city. But did you know, and so you're talking about sales tax, ironically, the only Chick-fil-A, which we all love Christian chicken, right? The only Chick-fil-A that sits inside Knox County that we get that tax-based revenue off of is in Hardin Valley. And when I started thinking about that, I was like, well, you're right, I thought about all the other locations. So, in talking with Chris Caldwell, who's a genius mind, when it comes to finance, I think, there are ways that we can look at bringing and driving businesses to Knox County, because that's what we get to keep. We get to keep that. So that is something that we need to take a hard look at, because you're right, they do it very well. And we definitely have a revenue problem. People will say we have a spending problem, and I'm not saying they're wrong. What I'm saying is I 100% understand, because I know how to read a P&L sheet. We have a revenue problem, and that would be one way to absolutely address that without having some sort of tax increase. Anybody else? Yes.
Thank you. It sounds like you want to be friendly to business. I'm not thank you for that. My question is, I may have missed it, but where are you employed now?
The sheriff's office. I'm the sheriff's spokesperson, communications director.
And if you prevail in your election, will you continue to be employed, or will you resign your position?
Well, there's a couple sheriff's candidates in here, and I'm appointed, so my job is not protected by the merit system, and whoever the next sheriff is would have to decide to keep me on. Most sheriffs bring in their own spokesperson for their communications person, just like the mayor. Most mayors, when Mayor Burgett went to be Congressman Burgett, he took his communications guy with him, so that happens a lot. So as far as it stands right now, I'll be unemployed on September 1st, other than my real estate career. So.
Did you say you're going to be unemployed?
Well, I'm a real estate broker, so I've been a broker for 22 years.
So is your answer you're going to resign if you prevail in the elections?
Well, they have to say if they want me to stay or they don't.
Well, let's just assume they are. Let's just assume they want you.
If they want me,
Yeah.
well, it just depends on. It just depends. We'll see. I might not want to work for them. You never know. These guys are hardcore in here. We'll see. I'm like Tom Spangler, so actually.
I'm just trying to get an answer.
If they want me to stay, I would continue to stay.
Okay, so you're going to be employed by the county, and then you'll also serve on county commission.
Yes, that's correct. And just like, I think Randy Smith did that on commission, he was a director, he's a risk management director for Mayor Jacobs, and then he served on county commission too for 2 terms.
And in that event, would you, in the event you're dealing with some budgetary matters concerning the sheriff's department, would you recuse yourself of those considerations?
If I felt like it was something that I needed to recuse myself from, most of what they deal with the budget is it's presented by the mayor, and they choose to adopt it or they don't. The mayor is an elected, the sheriff is an elected office, they get a pot of money, and it's up to them to decide how they spend it, just like the school system. So the county commission really doesn't get to direct where that money goes or how it's spent. They have no jurisdiction.
I understand that, but if you're dealing with a budgetary matter concerning the sheriff's office, will you vote on it, or will you recuse yourself?
If I feel like, maybe I'm not being clear, so hopefully you
No,
understand
you're not.
this.
That's fine.
If I feel like it's a matter that I need to recuse myself on, then yes, I would. Otherwise, I would not.
Okay, so you just use your judgment.
That's
As to
correct.
whether you'll recuse yourself.
That's correct, and I depend on the voters to decide whether I can make that judgment call or not.
The ethics policy that Knox County Ethics Committee is revamping now dictates what an elected official that votes on budgetary matters that pertain to themselves or their family members will do. And so I'm sure you'll follow
Yes.
the ethics policy.
Absolutely, happily. Any other questions? Yes.
So I'm gonna touch the third rail here now. The Knox County school system is, my understanding, down 1,300 students from 5 years ago. We have a law that says that we have to have maintenance of effort, so we can't cut the budget to the school system, but if the enrollment is falling, I think the thing that's troubling me is that every year it seems like we throw more money than what's required by the state to a system that has less and less students. So I guess my question for you is, would you be for just doing the maintenance of effort and not putting extra money to the school system because we have this budget crisis? And we keep talking about how we may have to raise taxes. It seems to me like we ought to just not give the school system extra money with a falling enrollment and use that money for other things.
So I have just now started to talk with candidates and current school board members to see what their budget is and learn what the state mandates that we do. But in the last, was it 10 years? For the last 10 years, you would think that we have grown like because of the population. But we've only added 79 students. You know, I have grandkids that are homeschooled, I have grandkids that go to private school, and I have grandkids that are in public school, all three. And I think COVID really changed that, because I think a lot of children that were enrolled in our school system, after that time, you know, especially with the mask mandates and things, they pulled their kids out of school and they go put them in a private school or they started homeschooling them. So that's very interesting, and that's something we would definitely look at, because that's a huge, huge portion of the budget. Obviously, everybody's primary concern besides safety is properly educating our children. So we certainly don't want to take anything away from educating them. But again, who we elect matters, because the school board governs that pot of money that they get for the school system.
Any other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.